Welcome back to Book Talk with Kara. In this series of episodes, I'm telling you a little bit of the story behind the stories behind the books that I write. And in today's episode, I want to tell you a little bit about Imperfect Justice, which is the second book in the Hidden Justice series. But I intentionally wrote all of these books in such a way that you can just pick them up and read them in whatever order you want to. So this book is a kind of hodgepodge of different experiences I had as an attorney, but also a couple headlines that I saw. So I'll never forget, I was sitting in Siena, Italy, which is where all authors should go when they're trying to come up with ideas for new books. But I was there because I was teaching a study abroad with my day job. It's been one of the absolute joys because my one regret from undergrad is that I did not go on study abroad. So now I get to take students on study abroad, and it's been an absolute delight for our family to be able to do that. But this was the first time, and we had a month in Siena, and I'm working on the proposal for what became the Hidden Justice series. And I had the first book, Beyond Justice, fully fleshed out. I'd written the chapters and all that. So I had a really strong proposal on that, but I needed two more ideas. So Imperfect Justice was going to be the second book in the series. And I knew the heroine had gone to George Mason Law School because all three of the heroines were going to have gone to George Mason Law School. They went together. I knew that she was going to be working in the Washington, D.C. area, Old Town Alexandria specifically. And I knew she was working in the law. That was about it. I didn't have a hero. The only thing I knew about the heroes in this series, because I asked y'all as readers, what type of heroes did you want to see? And you were very clear that you weren't interested in a series from me, at least at that time, that had heroes that were in law enforcement, because I hadn't really done that. I'd done the two books that I'd written for Love Inspired Suspense. The hero in Deadly Exposure, Caleb, is a police officer. And then in Trial by Fire, that hero, Noah, is a firefighter. But I hadn't done anything like that since. So I actually did a poll on Facebook because I was like, all right, as I'm getting ready to start a new series, this is a good time just to see kind of what's the pulse of my readers. What are you looking for? And so it was really interesting for y'all to go, no, that's not what I'm looking for in a Kara Putman book, at least at that point in time. And I should probably do a poll before my next series, because now I've written a couple where I haven't done that. So I knew I didn't want to have an FBI agent or marshals or anything like that. You know, Lynette Eason, Lynn Blackburn, Natalie Walters, they all do such a great job kind of in that space. And so I wasn't disappointed when you as readers were like, that's not what we're looking for, because they do a great job. So I was good with that, but it kind of created this quandary for me. So in Beyond Justice, the hero is actually a congressman's son who's kind of walked away from politics, but dabbles in it in a way that I'm not going to share here, because that's kind of one of the fun twists in this story. But he runs a nonprofit that works with children, young people who are immigrants. And so trying to help them acclimate and get, settled in the United States. So that was kind of a fun one because I'd worked in the nonprofit world in DC. So with Imperfect Justice, I was kind of pulling in a different element. One of the areas that I had done some legal work with was domestic violence. I did some kind of pro bono work with our YWCA, so Young Women's Christian Association of the area of the town I live in, but with their domestic violence shelter. And so it wasn't true free legal services, but it was greatly reduced cost in helping women who were getting out of abusive relationships. And so I had seen domestic violence from that side and had clients where literally I'd wake up in the middle of the night wondering if they were okay, if their kids were okay. I had walked a friend in DC through a situation where her husband would literally drop her off on the side of 395 or 495, which is the Beltway, which is a crazy, scary thought, and just leave her. I had walked a cousin through a situation where I'm getting calls and having to say, get in the car, start driving. And by the time you get to this place, I will have a safe space for you. And I'm 12 hours away. And so I had kind of the legal experience, but then I had the being the friend or the family member walking people through these situations. And the church is not very good at responding. And I wanted to address that. I wanted to do it in a way that would help all of us be more empathetic and more aware. At the same time, I then saw an article while we were in Siena. So this is how it ties back to Siena, where a woman on her 40th birthday, and it's been a few years since I've looked at the articles, she called a family meeting. She and her husband were kind of estranged. They'd been talking about divorce, but on her 40th birthday, she called a family meeting, killed her 2 young adult daughters in front of her husband, and then walked outside and basically committed suicide by police. And it was one of those that I tried to wrap my mind around because I was basically that age. And I just could not imagine. And yet I could because I'm a writer. And so I flipped it, or I twisted it, and I was like, what if the husband did that and then set it up so it looked like she did? And what if he survives because he makes it look like she was the one who killed the children, and one of the daughters actually survives? And so now the hero is the brother of the wife, and he's got this niece who's in danger, but they don't even recognize what danger she's in. And then the heroine was working with the wife to get her out. And so the hero and the heroine end up kind of being on the same side, trying to figure out what really happened, because the heroine could never believe that her client would have done this. I love this book, and I think it's really important. And it's a Kara Putman book, so it's not preachy, but I think it's important. And that's one of the things I love about the Hidden Justice series is the publisher, my editor, gave me permission to really wrestle with some of these right from the headlines surrounding us issues, but in a way that's real life. So that's Imperfect Justice. And I love Emily. Reads pretty awesome as well. And I think you'd really love this book. So, Imperfect Justice. I hope if you read it that you really enjoy it.